All right, we are week 19, day 3, well into learning about React. Today we're going to be doing something I find actually really fun, and I didn't get taught about this in my cohorts. I'm really excited. We're starting to get this in here, but it's using third-party libraries in React. We've had a little bit of experience using third-party libraries in Python in our Django when we did pandas, using that for our AI stuff. That's a third-party library that we imported and used to make things a little bit easier for us in our Python AI models that we were working on. So now we're going to be doing the same thing, but in React. And most of the React third parties you'll find, most of them help you out with, like they say here, UI components, state management tools, data fetching, that sort of stuff, because React obviously is our front end, so you're going to see a lot more of third-party library solutions for our front end view. So today we're going to be focusing on setting up for using two third-party applications. So this is going to be a little bit different of a lecture because I'm going to help you kind of set up and learn how to get underway for today's challenge, which will be a multi-day challenge. So just if you want to work along with me, you can to kind of get yourself set up, or you can just try to absorb it and refer back to the README after we go through this. But we're going to be focusing on Material UI and React Router. Today specifically, we're going to be looking at Material UI, and then the next class you will go into React Router. So Material UI, gosh, okay. I want to look at the docs first because we have a whole bunch of like, here's how you install it and all that. But chances are when you come across third-party libraries, you're just going to be Googling for libraries and looking up your own that way. So you won't have a nice little cheat sheet here of how to install and work with them. You'll usually just have the documentation. So I'm going to come out to Material UI. MUI, it's very popular React library. Really, really cool stuff you can pull from here. But right away, when I look at this, I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I go? You always want to go to the docs, documents. And I'm just going to click this Material UI right here. So this will give you kind of a getting started. This is where we took a lot of our information for the README from. Gives you a kind of a little bit background information about it. And then you can see there's an installation and usage. So I'm going to move along to those ones. And we can see pretty much everything the README is telling us to do is right here in how to install this library. Most libraries are going to tell you how to install them and set them up. So that is the case here. And we are going to, that's just an FYI. We'll go back to the README now and follow along with that, but most everything we've got in there we have taken from just the documentation in the library. That is where your first stop will be. We'll go to the documentation and look for your installation, just kind of follow how to get it up and running. Of course, next then it has how to use it in React. So you see we've got some imports up here we'll be doing. But let's go back to our README. So first things first, we're going to set up a React project. If y'all don't have one set up yet, you can do so now. I have the same one. Uh-oh. What does this reconnect now? I wonder if this is still running. It should not. I don't know what's going on here. This is giving you time to set up a little React project if you haven't yet already. The same way we've been setting it up for other classes, we're going to do the Vite, or however we pronounce that type of. I'm serious. All right, let's go back out. We get to see from the get-go here. Okay, let me see where I'm at. Oh, we are in here. Okay, we'll go to golf. We should have our React example. Load nicely, please. Okay, cool. Don't crash out on me again. If that happens, we'll just make a new one. So I've had this React app we've been working in for all of our examples, but again, I've taken out everything in the return in our main app page here. I have no, I mean, I have that asset, that's fine. I could take it out or you can leave it. I have no components, nothing. So blank page here. So first thing we're going to do, looks like we're going to create a component called demo. And this is just going to be where we're going to play with this new third-party library that we're testing out, just so we don't have a whole bunch of stuff cluttering in our app here. So we'll go ahead and make a demo component here. I'm going to go ahead and copy the boilerplate and change what I need to change here. We're going to call this demo. Okay. So first things first, after we get this demo set up, is we want to add a button from this material UI. So at this point, it does tell us to take a few seconds to look through the documents and figure out what to expect. So when I click on that link, it brings me up to this page here. And this is the button. Where's the picture of it? Usually there's a little example picture. I can't see one, but we'll see. So we can see here we need to import this from, or did we? I'm sorry, we had to install this. I skipped right past that because I said it was in there in the documentation and it's right here. So let's do that first and make sure you all have this. After you get that app up and running, the React app up and running, it's the second line here that says npm. Oh, go ahead.
Basically, after we do npm create by latest, then we do npm install still, correct?
Correct.
And then we run this next one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So you'll do all your standard how to set up your React app with your creating it and then the npm install. And then here we're doing a new install with this third-party library is what we're doing here. Mine should already be installed. Oh, wait, this is not at the right level. So this might happen to you too. You might not change directory into your app, and when you do your npm install, you get your node modules outside of your project. Easy fix, I'm just going to delete them. So we're going to delete that, and these JSON files down here as well come with that install. We want these to be within our project. Our node modules will be in our project up here. So let me change directory into that. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Yes. Now I'll run that line to install. Perfect. So it should have been stuffed in here in our node modules. Let's see if we have here we go. The material UI library is right there. All right. And if anybody needs me to slow down, if you're following along, let me know, because it is going to be a fairly quick lecture today. Before you know it, we're going to be done. So if you have questions along the way, also stop me if you're curious about any part we're doing. Okay, so we have this installed. Our README told us to do that, and the install part of the documentation of that library told us to run this, to install it. So now that we have it installed, we can move right along to right here where it says we are going to import this. And it says you can use either way. I'm gonna go ahead and use the second way because as we work with more features, it's easier to just string them in here, one right after another instead of doing separate imports. And you'll see that throughout the documentation. But I'm just gonna grab it this way, button from just the material UI and pop it in here. Here, let's go ahead and have the screen. Cool. So now it looks like here's all the props we can pass into it. I just want to know how to put this in here. So I'm kind of scanning the documentation to look for maybe some sample code, which is not there. Demo. Okay. For examples on the usage of this, let's go to the demo page here for a button because I want a code snippet that I can grab and play around with. So here are different ways, and it gives you the examples up here. This first one is going to be this one right here. Different variants will do different things, and it will kind of just explain that in these examples and in the props that this library can accept in their button tag. I'm gonna do a contained button, and I think, oh, that's what they use outlined in the example, but I'm gonna pick a contained button. So I'm just gonna grab this snippet right here. This is one button. I just want that, and I'm gonna just pop it right in my return in my component. So now this component should just have a contained button. And of course, as with all components, you could pass in props, and we could use those props down here to maybe give the button a different text. If you wanted to reuse this, you could make this a props pass instead of a static text. So we're going to save that. We're going to come back in our app, and we're going to just call our demo component here. Which, look, React is smart and filled it in for me up here, the import. All right, so now, does anybody remember how I get my app up and running? So I can see what it looks like.
npm run dev.
Yes.
Excuse me.
npm run dev. We got that there. Oh, and there's our button. Beautiful. Doesn't do anything because we don't have any listeners for it or anything. But that's all. You can read more about the props here. Most of the third-party libraries that interact with the UI will kind of act the same way that your HTML tags do. So I should be able to put an on click in here, I'm assuming. Yeah. But I'm sure it's somewhere in the documentation too, if you went looking through it. So that is how I take a snippet from this documentation here, this third-party library. I imported button from this library, and thankfully they have styled it for me, so I don't have to do any styling. It's so fancy and has all, I love using third-party libraries because I hate CSS. So these are great options if you don't want to spend a lot of time trying to figure out your own styling. Next, it looks like we can customize.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So I'm following along, and mine is a contained button. I can see it's all blue. But when your mouse when your mouse hovers over it, it changes, and also it has kind of a nice white line around it. Mine doesn't have either of those features. Why would that be if we have the same code?
I'm wondering if it,
Oh, maybe there's some in the
oh,
CSS.
what browser are you rendering in?
Chrome.
Okay, so we do have the same browser. Sometimes that'll change too if you have a different browser. I'm not entirely sure. I would have to look at that.
Index CSS, I did delete all of that. I think that was in the instructions. Maybe that's why.
There, oh, I left this, yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Let me delete it and see if mine looks like yours then. Okay, so now, ooh, yeah.
Hey, you managed to make yours look worse. All right.
I'm gonna put that back. Just for there we go. So yeah, it could be with this CSS because we do maybe have some conflicting. Might also be versions as well. I don't know if that's a thing here. I feel like we install the latest version when we did the npm install. Um, so I'm not 100% sure why it looks slightly different. I was hoping you said you were opening it on like Microsoft, the Edge browser or something different. That's usually the case, but I will look more into that later.
Well, I did put the CSS back in and now it does do that.
Oh,
So,
so yeah, must just be something overwriting then, because we know that, different weights of these CSS. And yeah, okay. Yes.
Hamilton is asking to be let in.
Oh, yep. Okay, thank you. I don't have an eye on. Oh, and there's our TAs. Awesome. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. I usually don't have up my chat over here. All right, so I think I let everybody in that should be in. I'm gonna leave that CSS because I think it kind of looks a little bit nicer while we're doing these demos. But yeah, ideally you'd start from scratch and just build off of whatever library you're bringing in. But it looks like we can also do other props, and they said in the README maybe mess around and see if we could change something else, like maybe color. So let's see. I'm gonna do, I assume the default is color primary, so let's do color secondary and see how that looks. Save that. Ooh, that's turned it purple, pinkish. So literally just reading what kind of props you can pass in to this tag. And it gives you the options you can use as well. So that is how you would mess around with those, which will be part of your challenge tonight. Any questions on how to use these props in the tags? Kind of self-explanatory. Okay. Now you can only use what they're saying here. That's the other thing. If it has a list of specific values, you can't plug in your own outside value because it's a third-party library and they coded it for us, so they have expectations. Okay, so next after that, it looks like also there are wrappers we can use for like groups of items within material UI. Let me come back. Don't like being on button. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we can see here all the different components that we can grab code snippets for and import into our application. Checkboxes, really cool. Just like lots of fun little things that would take you a long time to style on your own. So, but this is, let's see, I'm gonna go to the component API. It shows you a lot of different things you could play with. We could see this button and then button group. And I think there's some other groupings that we can use in this third-party library. I'll admit I haven't, probably this menu list and menu item, that sounds like a grouping that probably goes together. So there's groups of things we can do as well to kind of apply better styling. Yeah.
Justin is waiting.
Oh, yep, I got him in. I saw it pop up. Thank you. Okay, so the next one we're gonna look at is button group. What is? Am I live sharing? Did anybody else see Hamilton's name on the screen there? Do I have live share going on? No. What kind of hacking voodoo magic is it doing? Okay, anyways, so we're going to button group. We can see now if we wanted to import and use button group, you're gonna have to import every single component you want to use out of this library. And if we did it this way the first time, you're gonna have to do it on another line for this one as well, because you pull directly from the button group. However, if you did it the other way, like I did the first time, you see it's importing from the same location. So we can just take button group and throw it up here into this. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. I thought it would fill in into our import up here. So now we can just string together all the different components we would want to use within our demo. So here, if we go back, this code snippet is in our README, is going to show you how button groups work, but there's something interesting with it. So right now, this is button group again. This is taken from the demos probably. It says, for example, on usage, we could go ahead and come into button group and we can see this is what they used for theirs. Ours is very similar. You wrap button group and then you throw buttons within the parent button group. Different props we can pass in. We've only passed in variant, but we can also change color and do a whole bunch of other stuff as well. Now, when I save this and come over here, oh, that works. Okay. Earlier it didn't. React's being weird. Did anybody else follow along with this and have issues on their screen right now in their browser? Or did it work perfectly? Good.
In regards to what? Making sure it pops up?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I was I was debugging while you were going along, but it was a stupid mistake. I did the whole I copied and pasted from the actual repo. And I noticed it said import without the curly brackets button from the whole string directly from the button JS, right?
Yes.
And then I kind of put the curly brackets around it because I was like, okay, just in case I want to import more. And it wasn't showing up on the screen because of that, because it's like, I can't find this button component from this specific spot, right? This key, I guess. So yeah, if you want to import multiple from one library, you do it the way you're showing. If you just want one from one library, right, that you're importing, then you would do import no curly brackets button from all the way directly the button JavaScript part. So it would be MUI/material/button.
Exactly. Yep, that's why I like going this route, because you never know what you're gonna come across and just want to throw in there. But
Is
either way,
there some cons to that too? Like if you're importing the whole library in, does that cause any issues? Or is that just saying, no, look at from this spot and find it?
right, that's what it's doing. Look at this spot. All we're importing is what we tell it to import.
Okay. Okay.
So I can't just use, I don't know, something else in here that I don't import. Like I couldn't do a box because I don't have, I mean, I could, but it's not. Can I? It said it was pulling from the MUI, so that's weird.
See if it works.
I don't know what box does. Let's look. Part of documentation. Okay. I'm not gonna import it and we're gonna see if it works. It differs. It's a container. This might not be a good. This is not a good example.
Just take out button group in your import and see if it works.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Smart. Think smarter, not harder. Okay, so we're gonna take out, you said button group or button?
Yeah, button group. Just
Yeah.
take out button group because that'll really break it if it doesn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gone. So it lets us use it, but doesn't really. I wonder what the, let's see what the console says. Button group is not defined. So, but when we import it, it will be defined. And they're back. Good questions. So yeah, I don't know why this is working now. Earlier, it was breaking on me because for some reason it did not like the space in the closing tag. It was being weird. It was saying something about not an actual, I forget the error message I was getting when I was trying this. But I had a weird error message that made it sound like this was not an actual component we could use. So I took the space out and it worked, but now it's working even with the space. So I don't know what's going on. It was kind of funny. Okay. Let's see. So what is it asking now? It says check out the difference through your local host inside of a browser. Okay, we got that. Wrappers and groupings. Let's look at I think it wants us to look at this here, maybe. Okay, so what it does is it kind of puts it inside a div and gives it this group role. And then it has the buttons within that. So it wrapped it up within there, kind of like we would a div grouping, as we would expect. Keeps it clean, readable, and renders everything in a nice little visually pleasing manner. Okay. Honestly, I mean, there's one little thing left here in the README that says you can import all these. See, look, there's their example. You can import all those different components to use from Material UI and go ahead and use them within your React app. And I guess this is how many you'll be working with by the end of your challenge. But that was pretty much the lecture today, was just to show you third-party libraries and kind of how to look at the documentation a little bit, figure out how to even get them into your React app and start using them. Anybody have any questions on what we went over thus far? No questions? Okay. In that case, I'll go ahead and stop the recording and we will look at your challenge for today and what further exploration you will be doing in third-party libraries. If I can find my stop recording button.